Welcome to SVG-TV News for Wednesday, September 9th, 2015. I'm Lafern Fraser with the details. As accusations continue to mount by opposition leader Anim Eustace that there are illegal voter transfers and registrations taking place here, Prime Minister and leader of the ruling Unity Labour Party, the ULP, Dr. Ralph Gonsalves, is challenging Eustace to bring a proper formal complaint about his accusations. In an interview with SVG-TV News, Dr. Gonsalves, who is also a lawyer, explained that there is a procedure to formally bring a complaint against the person who has broken the law, and that Eustace is bluffing in his threats to take legal action with respect to persons whom he claims are involved in illegal voter transfers and registrations.
You can keep your noise, but you are not a prosecutor. You will have to, it doesn't matter who lawyer you go to, you can't bring a private criminal complaint. You have to go to the Director of Public Prosecution to present the evidence, and the Director of Public Prosecution may say, okay, you can go ahead and bring the case, the criminal case, or the Director of Public Prosecution may bring it himself. But you and him, Eustace, now whoever lawyer you have can bring any private criminal case against anybody. That is what they used to try to see if they could terrorize people in the last election. But the law was changed. But he forget that.
Prime Minister Gonsalves also accused the opposition leader of trying to humiliate voters and use scare tactics to intimidate them. The Prime Minister says there are some instances where exceptions can be made, as persons may be mobile from one household to another. Gonsalves challenged Eustace.
You have to look at the law as to whether the person is properly transferred or properly registered. And what I want Eustace to do is please continue to be a busybody and put a formal complaint. And when you turn out to be false, let us see what the Director of Public Prosecution will do to you when you go and make false allegations, as he has made in some cases. Then this thing of trying to shame people. I mean, since when is a politician at war with citizens? That is how he wants to govern.
Police Inspector Hawkins Nanton is coming to defense of his former media colleague, now the ruling Unity Labour Party ULP candidate for North Leeward, Carlos James. In a media statement dated today, September 9th, by Inspector Nanton, he outlined that approximately 12 years ago, he and James were newspaper reporters and were traveling in his vehicle, which he, Nanton, was driving, and where James was the lone occupant. The media release explained that there have been inaccuracies about the incident and that James was merely coming to his defense due to exuberance of the police officer which he had an incident with. He recounted that the episode between the officer and James occurred after he, Nanton, parked his vehicle in Little Tokyo, and the police officer, whom he described as being aggressive and unprofessional, approached them. Inspector Hawkins says he answered the police officer's line of questioning, but the officer seemed unsatisfied with his answers. He expounds in his media statement that James, who was a passenger, told the police officer that he, Nanton, had responded to his questions, but this caused the officer to become more irate, which led to the said officer scuffling James and bursting both James's chain and watch. Inspector Hawkins, in defense of James, says that the incident started from what he terms as a non-issue. Inspector Hawkins concluded his media statement by emphasizing that it was an isolated case and is not an indictment on police officers who generally operate within the confines of the law while serving and protecting the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, as well as visitors. Meanwhile, James also issued a media statement today in which he says that comments made by the opposition MP Roland Patel Matthews on Saturday, September 5th at Redemption Sharps is not a true reflection of the incident. James says he finds the comments made by Matthews as being unfortunate and inappropriate and has already referred the recordings of Matthews making the accusations to his lawyers, who will take the appropriate legal action. He describes Matthews' accusations as a deep level of desperation due to his poor performance. as an MP, and he fears losing in the North Leeward seat against him. He also articulates in his media statement that Matthews was losing support and popularity and says such levels of desperation cannot be accepted or be an excuse for his actions. He ended by stating that legal action will be brought against Matthews. And Prime Minister Gonsalves says members of the opposition New Democratic Party, the NDP, need to learn the law before they speak. Addressing the accusations made by opposition MP for North Leeward, Roland Patel Matthews, that the ULP candidate for that constituency is a criminal, Prime Minister Gonsalves says these accusations are fickle. Dr. Gonsalves says Section 26 of the Constitution as well as Section 35 of the Representation of Peoples Act clearly outlines what disqualifies a person from being a candidate. He describes the incident which occurred with James some 12 years ago against a police officer as not warranted of him being an ineligible contender for general elections.
The only disqualification in regard to any criminal activity is if you're under sentence of death. Which means it will either be murder or treason or genocide or something like that, or you're actually serving a sentence of 1 year or more, actually serving it, or have a substituted or suspended sentence of 1 year right now while you're being a candidate. Notice a person is in jail lockup for a year. Well, you can't nominate him because the Constitution and the law say you can't nominate him. It doesn't have anything to do with a skirmish with a policeman for which you may or may not have been fined. What is the matter with Patel?
Dr. Gonsalves further explained that Matthews was trying to defame James and questioned whether the opposition's South Leeward Member of Parliament, Nigel Nature Stevenson's non-payment of his vehicle license warranted being labelled a criminal.
I can understand what Carlos James said, that he has put the matter in the hands of the lawyer, because when ordinary people hear you say that somebody is a criminal, it means that they have committed some very grievous offense. When Nature admitted that he didn't pay his license and his driver's license and the motor vehicle license, they have penalties relating to fine and confine. But would anybody think that that's a criminal offense? People would see it as an administrative traffic offense. You know, I mean, you notice that I haven't made any big song and dance about this. People must speak with some sense of proportion.
Member of Parliament for Central Kingstown, St. Clair Leacock, is assuring Vincentians that the cheaper cost of electricity will be a high priority of an NDP government. At an event in Sharps last Saturday, Leacock says it is time to give Vincentians pride by ensuring that they have jobs to earn a living. He also says that it is essential that they make fuel surcharge obsolete if the geothermal project is established.
New Democratic Party in office, we will. I didn't say we will try to. I said we will reduce the cost of electricity to you, the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And I am going further now to say that if a new Democratic and when a new Democratic Party government is office and geothermal energy comes into being, we will remove for all time that word called fuel surcharge off the backs of all people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
In more local news, with the recent reopening of schools here, education officers are being encouraged to adopt a positive attitude that will motivate not only their colleagues but also the students they educate. The advice came from General Agent at Sagicor, Stanley Brown, who delivered the feature address at the opening ceremony of a 3-day retreat organized for some of these officers by the Ministry of Education at the Catholic Pastoral Center at Edinburgh. Brown says the education of the nation's most valuable resources, the youths, lies in the hands of teachers and other education officers, which is why they must encourage the youth to strive for excellence.
It's not about government or your colleagues, it's about the children. And if you believe that strong enough, you wake up every day with enthusiasm and energy because you want to change lives. It's not about government not paying you. I know that. Everybody wants more money. Come work with Surgical. Come be an agent. Everybody wants that. But when you choose this career, when you choose this area of study, you know your contribution was going to be more sacrificial than anything else. It's not about money. It's about making a contribution, building the rock and the character of our people. There's nothing more rewarding than that. So as you retreat, as you rest and you look back and you rethink, you have the power to change.
Brown also told the officers that with their particular jobs, there will be challenges most of the time, and it will seem like there is a race to reach a certain position. However, he adds that as they seek to develop the minds of the youth of SVG, politics and personal biases should not affect their ability to do their jobs.
That everybody wants to outdo each other because you want to make sure you get your retirement benefit. We know all of that, and we know how politics plays part and all of that kind of stuff. But if you consider children, the people you're in charge of, you will put aside all of your personal biases and focus on them. They are the future, and your children will grow up with them. So if we create a lot of thieves and vagabonds, they're the children, your children will get married too. And I just get frightened. I have 2 daughters, 2 beautiful daughters. I just frightened. I'm always worried. What kind of man are they going to end up with? You have to help to change that. So rethink your positions. If you are lazy, get up and retool.
Additionally, Brown is warning public servants that with the increasing cases of non-communicable and communicable diseases in the country, it is imperative that they pay particular attention to their health. He says in order for them to be able to make a positive contribution to the country and to effectively carry out their jobs, they must be physically and mentally fit.
You have got to pay attention to your health. You see, as we get older, Andrew, you super cricket, to grammar school, play football, but the more I fight the middle part of my body, the more it bothers me. As you get older, things happen. Look, there are a lot of things you can't do when you're dead. And it doesn't matter what plan you have. If you're dead, you can't achieve it. And if you are unhealthy and sick, you may not be able to do it either. So it pays that you watch what you eat and find time to exercise. I always say that, no matter how young the generation is. So you have to enjoy what you do.
In court news, Dylan Joseph, a laborer of Bel Air, has been arrested and charged for the possession of a firearm without the relevant license. Reports are that last Sunday, police executed a search warrant at his shop, during which time a 9mm firearm was discovered. Joseph was escorted to the serious offences court yesterday and pleaded not guilty to the charge. The police had no objection to his bail, which was allowed in the sum of $10,000 with one surety, and to surrender his travel documents to the court and report to the Caliqua police station on Friday Fridays between 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. September 20th is the date set for trial. Meanwhile, Kyron Charles, a 24-year-old laborer of Richland Park who told the court he was in the wrong place at the wrong time, was on Tuesday convicted on 3 separate gun, ammunition, and drug-related charges. Reports are that on August 21st, 2015, members of the Rapid Response Unit were on mobile patrol in the Richland Park area when the defendant was seen with other men at a liquor and provision shop. It was during such time he went to the back of the shop and placed a bandana which contained 1 firearm and 1 round of ammunition behind an old stove. The police went and retrieved same, which resulted in his arrest. The police also conducted a search on his person, which resulted in the discovery of 18 grams of marijuana. For the offenses of possession of the firearm and ammunition, Charles was sentenced to a suspended jail term of 1.5 years and $500 to be paid forthwith or 1 week in jail. He was also ordered to pay $150 forthwith or face an additional 1 week in jail for the drug possession. The official sponsors have been announced, and the 9 delegates who will be competing in the National Miss Heritage Pageant on October 31st, 2015 at the Victoria Park have been sashed. The schools being represented are Beckway Community High School, Bishop's College, Kingstown, Dr. J.P. Eustace Memorial, Intermediate High, Central Leeward Secondary, St. Joseph's Convent, Kingstown, St. Clair Dakin Secondary, St. Joseph's Convent, Mariquah, and the school hosting the pageant, the St. Vincent Girls High School. Here is an introduction from the 9 contestants.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I am 15 years old, Jacqueline Olivier, proudly representing the Beckway Community High School in the Scotiabank National Secondary School Miss Heritage Pageant 2015. I am an energetic, fun, and creative person, and this will be portrayed through my team, Goat's Head Camera from Wedding Table.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Caprice York, representing the Bishop's College, Kingstown in the Scotiabank National Secondary School Miss Heritage Pageant in association with GC, hosted by the St. Vincent Girls High School. On October 31st, expect Miss Bishop College, Kingstown for woman hair shoot for hair good.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Azinza Brown, representing the Dr. J.P. Eustace Memorial Secondary School. My theme for this pageant is run from the zombie and put up on the carpet. So far in this pageant, I've been learning a lot of things and even more about our heritage.
Good afternoon to everyone. I am 15-year-old Terishan, proudly representing the Intermediate High School. This year's pageant is based on our theme, our colloquial legacy, Pali Palang Ewibinti Twang. My presentation on the night of the show would be centered around see with your eyes, but keep your tongue between your teeth.
Good evening, everyone. I am 16-year-old Ulrika Gaines, proudly representing Central Leeward Secondary School in this pageant. My theme is we have reach, donkey must reach. I am Rondine Brown. Let me rephrase that. I am radiant Rondine Brown from the tranquil community of Level Gardens. I am proudly representing my school, St. Joseph Convent, Kingstown, in the National Secondary School Miss Heritage Pageant 2015. I am an articulate and artistic 15-year-old. I have the passion for dancing, drawing, and modeling, among other things. And I am portraying the theme, where catch a cold, go blow your nose.
I am 15-year-old Julians, representing the St. Clair Secondary School. My theme for this pageant is every great teeth is a laugh.
A pleasant evening to everyone. My name is Joanne Andrews, and I am proud to represent my alma mater, the St. Joseph's Convent, Mariquah. My theme for this year's pageant is Scornful dog, go eat the dirty pudding. A pleasant evening and welcome to the official launch of the Scotiabank National Secondary Schools Miss Heritage Pageant 2015 in association with Juicy, hosted by the St. Vincent Girls High School. I am no other than the enthusiastic 15-year-old Kanisha Llewellyn, a proud representative of the whole school of this pageant. This pageant is produced under the theme Our Colloquial Legacy, Pali Palang in Binti Twang, and I will be depicting Don't Hang a Hat Where Your Hand Can't Reach.